your opt-out clause, putting broadcast revenue at risk. The opt-out is happening. The opt-out is happening. And look, I mean this when I say this. Like, I actually agree with most of the points. I agree with almost all the points that Rachel Demita makes. I think this is a really weirdly worded article. This seems like it's written by somebody who has no idea.
That is the uncomfortable truth that nobody in Unrivaled's front office wants to admit. TNT has a 3-year opt-out clause in its broadcast deal. And if you have been watching the ratings during Season 2, you can see where this could be heading. They may decide to opt out. The real question may not be whether they do it, but when they officially announce it. So let's talk about what is actually happening here, because this is not just about one league struggling to find an audience. It points to a much bigger misunderstanding about what really drives viewership in women's basketball.
It says here, where analyst Rachel Demita puts uncomfortable Caitlin Clark truth. In her latest YouTube breakdown, she called Unrivaled's 2025 November marketing tease that hinted at Clark's involvement with Cryptic 22 references. That was 2024. It says here, only for her to pass, leaving the least credibility and tattage just Season 2 tipped off. This bait and switch didn't disappoint fans. It amplified Unrivaled's vulnerability. Unrivaled founders, it says here, the growth hinged on buzz, highlighted how preseason campaigns built on false hope of Clark. I do think that was more last year. I think that was more last year. And I think Unrivaled benefited from, as
Rachel Demita recently landed a partnership with SiriusXM, and she is using that platform to say what many analysts may be thinking but are not willing to say publicly. Unrivaled built much of its 2024 marketing campaign around Caitlin Clark. They teased the possibility of her involvement, hinted that she might participate, and allowed speculation to grow. But in the end, she never joined. The interesting part is that Season 1 still performed reasonably well despite Clark not being there. Opening night attracted a solid audience, and the one-on-one tournament created a lot of attention. The novelty of the league also helped keep people interested during the first few weeks. But then something happened that should concern everyone involved with Unrivaled. Viewership kept falling week after week. It was not just an occasional drop. The audience continued to get smaller throughout the season. Even the playoffs, which should have attracted the most attention because they were the biggest games of the season, drew fewer viewers than some regular season games. Think about that for a moment. The games that were supposed to matter the most attracted a smaller audience than an ordinary game earlier in the season. That is not just a small warning sign. It is a major problem for the league.
3v3 is an outdoor game where people are blaring music, and there's a bunch of outdoor courts, and you can make like a 3v3 event, like the Ball Out UK, and there's even the women's basketball, the Spokane 3-on-3, what they were running over the summer. Like, you can have, like, if you have like 3 or 4 half courts, you can make a day-long event where there's a bunch of 3v3 games, and it's a cool event to be a part of because you're like you're going to game by game by game. The players are hanging out on the courts. It can be a cool event. 3-on-3 basketball can be a cool event. They made it an Olympic sport for some reason. 3-on-3.
This is where the comparison to the Big Three becomes impossible to ignore. Ice Cube's league launched in 2017 with a lot of hype. It had former NBA champions, recognizable players, and a unique 3-on-3 format that felt fresh and different. The first season had strong numbers, sold-out crowds, and a lot of momentum. But by the third season, arenas were much less full and viewership had dropped significantly. Why? Because once the novelty wore off, people realized they did not really care about watching 3-on-3 basketball as a regular spectator sport. 3-on-3 basketball can be fun to play. It works well at outdoor tournaments with music, multiple courts, and a lively atmosphere. But as a television product that expects people to watch week after week, it becomes much harder to maintain interest. Unrivaled appears to be following a similar path, only with WNBA players instead of retired NBA stars. The format itself is not enough to keep people watching. The novelty does not last forever. And without individual stars that fans genuinely want to watch, there is very little keeping the audience interested.
No idea. They said Unrivaled, pretended Caitlin Clark was going to join in 2025. That didn't happen. It was 2024, and Season 1 still did okay. But the problem was, when it came to Season 1, was that this is what the biggest problem was, outside of the novelty of day one and the 1v1 competition. And so basically, the novelty and the novelty. Outside of novelty, you have got a situation where it is like, it was going down every week. Like, the playoffs got less views than week 2.
Here's what makes this especially difficult for Unrivaled. They lost one of their biggest potential draws because she is injured. They never had Caitlin Clark. They did not have Angel Reese for Season 2. And Paige Buchers is not playing 3-on-3 while preparing for the WNBA draft. So who is carrying the league right now? Aya Wilson is arguably one of the best players in women's basketball, along with Caitlin Clark. But here is the uncomfortable reality that people do not want to admit: Aya Wilson does not attract the same level of attention from casual viewers. That is not an insult to her basketball ability. She is an incredible player. But being one of the best players does not automatically mean you are the biggest television draw. If Aya Wilson left the WNBA tomorrow, national TV ratings probably would not change much. The same idea applies to Nikola Jokic in the NBA. He is one of the greatest players in the game, but his absence would not have the same ratings impact as some other major stars. Star power in sports is not only about who is the best player. It is about who people actually want to watch. If LeBron James left the NBA, ratings would take a major hit. If Stephen Curry left, the impact would be huge. But if a reigning MVP who is less popular with casual fans left, many viewers might not even notice.
Paige doesn't play, and if Paige doesn't play, who gives a fuck? I mean it like this: when Paige doesn't play, no one gives a fuck about this league. Like, you gotta give credit where credit's due to Angel Reese. Angel Reese put this league on her damn back last year. She put this league on her damn back. And the reality is that if you're not going to have Caitlin Clark play, now, I don't think AJ Wilson's that big a draw, but what I do think is that having AJ Wilson in the league adds to the legitimacy of the league, because she is arguably the best player in the world, probably the best. Her and Fee, if you want to argue, like, I think they're 1A, 1B. But at the end of the day, AJ Wilson is in that 1A, 1B conversation. And not even 1A, 1B conversation. Yeah, which is 1A, who is 1B. But at the end of the day, that will bring
legitimacy. And this shows the biggest problem with Unrivaled's entire concept. The league does not have strong connections to specific cities or locations. These are not traditional franchises that fans can build a strong connection with. Instead, the teams are made up of players who can change from year to year. Nobody is walking around wearing a Phantom BC jersey because they are a lifelong Phantom fan. That is not really how a league like this works. Unrivaled needs individual stars who can attract viewers on their own. It needs players that people will specifically tune in to watch, no matter which team they play for. The WNBA has that kind of star power with Caitlin Clark. It also had it with Angel Reese, and it could have it with Paige Buchers. Unrivaled has one major star in Sabrina Ionescu, but she is nowhere near Caitlin Clark's level when it comes to attracting viewers. Just look at the social media numbers and overall engagement. Sabrina is very well known among basketball fans. She is respected and extremely talented, but she does not appear to attract large numbers of casual fans who do not already closely follow women's basketball.
The Lakers, when LeBron leaves, ratings will take a slight hit. When Steph fucking Curry leaves, ratings will take a massive hit. The reality is that, like, it's not a knock on these players saying that if nobody gives a flying fuck watching them as individuals. And the problem is that Unrivaled is a league, because there's less players on the floor, that nobody cares about these teams. There's no geographical link to these teams. This is a bunch of random players that have been put on random teams every year. And unless people care about the individuals, and Unrivaled lost.
So what should Unrivaled be doing right now? Here's a strategy that nobody seems to be using. Look at how Andrew Tate built his online audience. He had people clipping his content and paying them based on how many views their clips received. Whether you like him or not, the system worked. His clips were everywhere. Unrivaled should have a team of creators working together right now, possibly through a Discord server, and pay them based on the views their clips generate. If you want Sabrina Ionescu highlights to go viral, reward the creators who make those clips. If Marina Mabrey gets into a heated moment and the clip starts spreading on TikTok, give creators an incentive to share and promote it. If fans are making edits of the one-on-one tournament, create a system that rewards the best performing content. Right now, Unrivaled is not dominating television, and it is not dominating social media either. They are losing on both fronts. And when your TV deal includes an opt-out clause and your broadcast partner is watching the numbers decline week after week, you need to give investors a reason to believe the league has a future. Building a strong creator network and turning every exciting moment into viral content could be one way to do that.
You need Angel, you need Paige, and we have one of them. And we have Fee, who's injured. So when you have all of these players that are now coming out, and they're playing in Unrivaled, and nobody cares really about any of them. Like, I mean this, one of the five players people care most about is fucking Marina Mabrey in Unrivaled. Like, it is what it is. And that's the problem, is that this is a league that needs to be about star power. And it's all about.
Here's what makes this situation so important. Unrivaled's main promise to investors was growth. They said the league would bring more people to women's basketball. They believed the 3-on-3 format would create a faster, more exciting product that could attract casual fans who normally do not watch the WNBA. But the data appears to be showing the opposite. The audience is not growing, it is getting smaller. Week after week, fewer people are watching. And when TNT decides whether to use its opt-out clause, it is not going to focus mainly on the quality of the games or how competitive the league is. It will look at one major number: viewership. Right now, that number is moving in the wrong direction. The 2024 WNBA season showed something very important. When Caitlin Clark played, games attracted much larger audiences. When she did not play, viewership dropped. The league tried to focus on overall growth and the idea that success would help everyone, but the numbers showed that individual star power matters a lot. Unrivaled believed it could create the same kind of excitement by bringing together several WNBA stars. But they are learning that not every star has the same ability to attract casual viewers. You can have some of the best players in the world, but if casual fans are not specifically interested in watching them, it becomes difficult to build a strong television product. This is also why the comparison to other 3-on-3 leagues matters. Many of these leagues have followed a similar pattern: a big launch, a strong first season, falling interest, and then a slow loss of relevance. The Big Three is still operating, but how often do you see people talking about it or watching its highlights? It has become a much smaller part of the sports conversation. Unrivaled could be heading in the same direction unless something changes quickly. The problem is that the players who could create another major wave of attention are not currently joining. Caitlin Clark has already confirmed that she is not playing. Paige Bueckers is focused on her WNBA career, and Angel Reese is also sitting out. So what is going to reverse the decline? Unrivaled needs to make a major decision. It could focus heavily on social media and create viral content that keeps the league relevant even if television ratings remain low. Or it could consider moving toward a 5-on-5 format that might have more long-term appeal for viewers. The current model does not appear to be working, and everyone involved understands the problem. TNT understands it, which is why it negotiated an opt-out clause. Investors understand it, which is why they may already be asking difficult questions about how long the league can continue and whether the business is sustainable. The players also understand it, even if they do not talk about it publicly. When they discuss the league, they often focus on the competition and the money rather than building something that can last for many years. This is not about hoping Unrivaled fails. It is about recognizing a pattern that has happened with other sports leagues. Without major changes, Unrivaled could follow the same path. The bigger question is not simply whether TNT will opt out. The real question is what happens after that. Can Unrivaled survive without a major broadcast partner? Without a major broadcast partner, the league could lose credibility with casual sports fans. It could become dependent on streaming platforms, where it is much harder for new viewers to discover the games. It would also have to compete with an endless amount of other online content while trying to keep people interested in a product that is already struggling to maintain its audience from week to week. So what is the solution? Unrivaled either needs to find a way to make the current 3-on-3 model work through a much stronger social media and viral content strategy, or it needs to admit that 3-on-3 basketball may not be a sustainable television product and consider a format with better long-term potential. Right now, viewership is falling, the broadcast partner has an opt-out clause, and some of the biggest stars who could bring more attention to the league have already decided not to participate. That is not simply speculation or pessimism. It is a matter of looking at the available numbers and recognizing a pattern. Unless something changes dramatically before TNT makes its decision, Unrivaled could become a much smaller part of the sports conversation sooner than the people behind the league want to admit.